Hey guys, Kivat here with another review. This time will be part 2 of my review of the complete selection modification Kivat belt. In this part we'll be taking a look at the alternate modes of Kivat as well as checking out the voice interaction feature. So, let's get started. First up we'll look at cold mode. So we'll start by switching on Kivat. And as I described last time, in order to switch into this mode, you need to press both earbuds at the same time. And when you hear that sound, where he sneezes, you'll know that he's caught a cold. So to start, there are 7 unique voice lines to this mode. You get from pressing the voice button on the back. There are also some different lines for when you play the Blade Rose sound and then press the voice button. And he'll also say some different things when you talk to him. Kivat! 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 Next, we'll use Kivat with the key buckle. So, first off, when we press down on the jaw button, he has only 2 versions of Gabu, they'll say. One where he sounds sick, and then a more default one. Like this, he has different voice lines. And the same is true of when you take him off the belt. And then, he'll sound different when you use the different whistles. So we'll go about them in sequential order. Then Doran next. Then Buron. Then we move on to the form change fossils. So, first is Garulu. And this also applies to the bite attacks. And it'll just go smoother if we skip through those attacks since we can. Next is Basha. And Basha Bite. And then Dogga. As well as Dogga Bite. We can also activate Dogabaki form. And interestingly enough, as you could hear, even though Kivat has a unique line to initiate Dogabaki form, when he uses the fossils, they sound the same as normal. And also, as described before, in order to change Kivat back to normal mode, you press the two eater buttons again. Next, we'll look at Kivat Bat the fourth mode. So, again, like described in the last part, in order to change to that mode, you have to press down the special sound button and then switch on Kivat. So, like this, he has a few voice lines.
や、来たー。行くぜ、マサオ。お父さん、未来から会いに来たよ。お父さん、一緒に戦おう。おじいちゃん、会いたかったよ。イエーイ、祭りだ祭りだ。
And he also has a few of those lines that he'll say when you speak to him. Kivat!
行くぜ、マサオ。
Kivat!
なんだって。
Kivat!
イエーイ、祭りだ祭りだ。
Then we'll again use Kivat with the key buckle. Before that, we can test out the Blade Rose sound.
ネオファンがやっ来た。ネオファンがやっ来た。
And he only says one line when you do that. Then we'll activate the transformation into Kiva. Then we have the activation button. And it's just one line again. So then we'll test out the fossils. As gonna wake up is Doran. And after Doran is Buron. Then we'll move on to the form changes, but this time we'll use the quick method. And we'll do a quick version of the bite attacks. Again, do the same for Doga form. And the Doga bite. And even with Kivat the 4th, we can still activate Dogabaki form. And we can also test to see if he says anything different after you use a special attack.
Wake up!
Which in this case, he does not. Finally, we'll take a look at the voice interaction feature, wherein there's a set of phrases written in the instructions that you can say to Kivat by pressing and holding down the button behind his left ear, and if you say them correctly, he'll respond in turn. Now, what I have here is the English and Korean manual, because I got it from an American distributor, that being Bluefin. So if you want to use this feature, I'd recommend getting it from said American distributor or someone else who's affiliated with them, as well as just studying up on some basic Japanese pronunciation. And what you just heard there was one of the few phrases that Kivat will say when he goes into sleep mode when you don't interact with him for about a minute. So we'll just wake him up and we'll get started. So the first thing we'll be saying is, let's go Kivat. Of course, I'm just giving you all the, basically the translations of what I'm saying to him. Kivat to ikiyo! Next we'll say, to protect what's important to you. Taisetsu na mono wa mamoru tame ni. Next we'll say, what can I do? Or what should I do, rather? Dou shiyou. And that's one of the things that he'll say if he didn't recognize what he said. Dou shiyou. Next we'll say to him, good morning and good night. Ohayo. Oyasumi. Then we'll ask him, how are you doing? And he'll have one of three different responses. Now this one is a little bit of a trickier one to pull off. Choushi wa dou? 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 Actually, I was mistaken, and there are 4 different versions of this. Choushi wa dou? Now, interestingly, a couple of lines in there are actually ones that were in the original deluxe Kivat belt, which is a nice little throwback. So nice. Next we'll be saying, I'm feeling fine. Genki da yo. Genki da yo. Then we'll say, I'm feeling normal. Futsu kana? Then we'll say, I'm tired. Tsukareteru. Then we'll say, are you hungry? Onaga suita? Then we'll ask him, what is your name? Kimi no namae wa? Kimi no namae wa? Kimi no namae wa? Kimi no namae wa? And there are 2 different versions of this that you can hear. Kimi no namae wa? Kimi no namae wa? Or at least I assume there's a second version. Kimi no namae wa?
キバットバット賛成
So yeah, there's the kind of weird spluttery version as well as the normal version that you get when you turn him on. Next, we'll ask him to tell us some trivia. トリビアを教えて。
バイオリンが名器になるかどうかの決め手は、そのバイオリンに塗るニスにかかっている。ニスは見た目をきれいにするだけでなく、音の波動を伝えやすくする役割も果たしているのだ。Do you understand?
And this is one of several lines that you'll get from the Kivat trivia mode, which is what you get when you press and hold this button, but that'll be for next time. Then the final line we'll say is next time on Kamen Rider Kiva, or next time on Master Rider Kiva, whichever one you prefer. 次回、仮面ライダーキバ
Wake up! 定めの鎖を解き放て
And he responds with the line he says after every next time segment, which is a very nice touch. As one last thing, we'll get into the various phrases that you can say when you just call out his name. But for this, to make things a little bit easier, we'll just switch to the basically pseudo voice recognition mode, where you press and hold the BGM button and switch him on.
俺様はキバットバット賛成
So that whenever you speak to him, basically anything you say, he'll recognize as you saying his name. Kibatto!
よっしゃキババババッタ
Kibatto!
決まりまくっていくぜ
Kibatto!
決まっていけ渡れ
Kibatto!
決まっていくぜ
Kibatto!
はいはい
Kibatto!
はいはいはいキバッ
Kibatto!
トよっしゃ渡れ決まってくんでよろしく
Kibatto!
喜んで
Kibatto!
オッケー決まりバリバリバリバリ
Kibatto!
よっしゃ決まっちゃうぞこの野郎
Kibatto!
よっしゃ決まってゴー
Kibatto!
決まっていこうぜ
Kibatto!
待たせたな渡れ
Kibatto!
キバッと
Kibatto!
渡れ俺たちも行くぜ
Kibatto!
よっしゃ決まっていくぜ
Kibatto!
よっしゃ渡れ決まってくんでよろしく
And that should do it. And there we go. So overall, these are definitely some nice add touches that, give a bit extra into the overall package. It definitely shows a lot of attention to detail that they would put in things like the cold mode for when gets to kind of replicate the rather brief period of time where Kivat caught a cold, and so he did sound different, and they did want to reflect that here. And it does add a nice little alternative to how the original Deluxe Kivat belt had a good mood and bad mood mode. Additionally, there is Kivat Bat the Fourth. And it does make sense to put him in this because they were nearly identical and they did have the same voice actor. The only problem is that Kivat the Fourth actually had a body that was more of a metallic orange color rather than the normal gold of Kivat the Third, and that's not something they could replicate. Though there is actually a version of this that's specially colored to look like Kivat the Fourth that was exclusively given to the actor behind Masao Kurenai, who also played Otoya Kurenai, Kiva's father. As for the voice recognition mode, or that feature, while it doesn't work always, it is a very nice touch, and it makes sense because Kivat in the show was an actual character, so to be able to interact with him like that makes a lot of sense. And it's especially a nice touch that they put in basically all different things he'd say before Kiva would transform, as there were a lot of those different phrases. So that definitely adds a lot to it, and this is something that we'll see come into play even more when we get to the CSM Tatsulat. So next will be the last part of this review, where I'll be basically covering everything else, which is to say all the different voice lines as well as the trivia mode for the normal mode of Kivat. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. And for now, this is KRX50, writing off.